Hi, I'm Kevin Klein. Today on Let's Talk Winnipeg, we're going to focus on a story that is starting to make its way around the city. And you've heard a little bit about it in the media. You need to hear the whole story because I think it is certainly reflective of a greater problem that we have in the City of Winnipeg. And we've talked about fundamental issues with the City of Winnipeg, and we've talked about, and I've said many times over that I don't want to simply complain about something, because that's not what I'm about. I'm going to share this with you so you get an idea of the facts, because I think that's most important. You deserve to know the facts. And then I want to talk to you as we go through this about ways that we should be addressing this, because these are items that require strong leadership. We need to get to work. We need to start getting things done in this city. We need to start facing our problems and dealing with our problems head on. Let's admit them, let's accept them, and let's fix them. Let's not just keep talking about them or find somebody else to put the blame on because we're afraid of what the headline might be. It's not blaming it on one person, and I want to be very clear about that because it may seem like that, but this is not. This is about council. 15 members of council have the ability to vote independently. They have that right. Many of them that are involved in a certain inner circle choose to follow one. That needs to change so we can start getting some work done. And this issue really touched me for reasons that we can talk about in a couple of minutes. The story circles around something you may have read in the Free Press, where the union has identified that there's some major mental health issues and concerns with the Winnipeg Police Service, within the Winnipeg Police Service. I want to share with you video from the media conference that was held where this issue was brought up. The first question was about the union mentioning that there is an internal problem. Morale is at an all-time low. It's at an all-time low. Here's the response from the City of Winnipeg.
Well, you know what, I'll take the opportunity just to offer condolences. The members of the Winnipeg Police Service and the community are grieving the loss of some members, and I want to just begin this topic by offering our heartfelt condolences to the families and the members of the service that have been affected.
I'm going to stop it right there for a second, because here's what the media didn't tell you. At the February council meeting, a colleague of mine, Councillor Sean Nason, who represents Transcona, stood during question period and asked the mayor, given the fact that we have lost 2 City of Winnipeg police officers in a very short period of time, one for mental health reasons, and we've lost an RCMP officer, would he consider lowering the flags to half-mast on Monday to recognize those losses? He then asked if council could just have a moment of silence to honor our fallen in the last few weeks. Apparently it's against policy. Let's go back to the questions about concerns with morale and mental health.
You know, obviously questions, you know, some of the questions I know you're raising, Joyanne, are best answered by our chief and by the chair of the police board. They're not necessarily matters within the authority of mayor and council, but...
All right, I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to interrupt here because this is the fact-checking where it's a fundamental issue. And it's not just with, I don't know any level of government that doesn't have this type of politicking that happens. And it's not helping anybody anymore. We're all smart enough to see through that, right? Let's go back to more of the answers on the same question that still has not been answered.
You know, in terms of some of the commentary that we see being reported from the union leader that runs the Winnipeg Police Association, you know, I'll just say this, you know, welcome back, Mo. He's been largely absent from public view since about last June. And, you know, he has been when he has been public, very effective at voicing criticism, less effective at offering constructive solutions and being effective at making the changes that are necessary.
All right, we're going to stop there for a second and talk about the facts. Number one, any leadership in any organization, especially when you're dealing with a collective bargaining agreement and a union, you should not, again, I state, you should not be dealing with this publicly. It's disrespectful, it's unprofessional, and it's unbecoming of a leader. It's not helping. It doesn't help solve the problem at all. I can't imagine what some members of the service think when they hear some of that. And the budget? To mention the budget when we're dealing with the loss of a life, the tragic loss, and concerns that are brought up that have absolutely nothing to do with their wages, with their hours worked. So why talk about the budget? And then why talk about the fact that we're trying to change the budget? It was this particular leadership, not one guy's fault, because 15 councillors can vote independently. Some of them chose to follow the direction of one. They didn't have to. They agreed to give the service a 2.5% increase every year for 4 years. At the time, it was touted as the best agreement in the city's history. That's what it was touted as. It's the same leadership that is devoting time and money and people to this Bloomberg initiative to change how 911 calls are responded to. It's already being done different ways throughout Canada. Why do we need to spend the money and play the game? Why don't we get something done? Why don't we pick up the phone, have a conversation with them, get everybody in the room, and start? What would solve it? Sit down, talk to them, listen, and fix the problem. See how we can help. If it's operational and we can't, let's find a way. Let's talk to the Minister of Justice. Let's talk to the Manitoba Police Commission. All of them have authorities. Here's an issue at the City of Winnipeg that I've talked about. We have zero leadership and zero accountability. Let's move on. A reporter asked if it was an issue with management. Does the city think they have an issue with management of the Winnipeg Police Service?
Is there an issue with control, management over the officers or the chief in your view?
Well, the operations of the police service, I mean, under the provincial legislation, we're prohibited from affecting operational decisions and that kind of management. So, I have not been privy to some of the correspondence you're referencing, Joyanne, and so I'm not able to directly comment on materials I haven't yet seen. But I will say that it has been a difficult year, no doubt, for members of the police service as well as other departments. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and so no doubt people are feeling that. And in terms of day-to-day management, I'll leave that to others to comment on.
All right, let's stop that again because we've already talked about it. We'll touch on it quickly. For whatever reason, all of a sudden, we're not allowed to be involved in operational matters. I'll say it again. Why have we spent the last year and how much money? Nobody knows because we're not told. The staff hours, the time, the effort to study the 911 call solution with Bloomberg initiative, which cannot be implemented because that is an operational problem. So why did you spend all that time and money and effort? Again, there's jurisdictions in Canada that are having success by having mental health nurses provided by the regional health authorities in police cars, and they respond to specific calls, and it's working. Pick up the phone. We need to do things that are going to work. And I know this is a little long, but this is a big issue for me. Let's go on to the question where the reporter talked about whether or not the City of Winnipeg felt it was to do with all the hatred that's out there right now, all the negativity.
There appears to be serious fallout from anti-police protests and public anger directed towards some officers. There was a report even that this was linked to a police officer dying by suicide. Do you believe that there is a serious fallout from that in Winnipeg? The protests and the...
Yeah. You know what I will say is, look, I have been trying to effect positive changes with respect to the police budget. For years and years, it was completely out of control, and so we've worked really hard to bend the cost curve along with council, and I'll continue to work. We worked hard to vote in our budget for a funding formula to be developed, and throughout all of that debate, let's keep in mind that notwithstanding anyone's views on public policy matters, what we don't want to see is hate directed at members of the police service or public officials, like our chief, members of the police board, members of council, public service.
And as for not criticizing the service, I'm not going to name names. You can check for yourself. But I have some council colleagues that are chairs of a committee that have called the police racist on their Twitter accounts. The fact is that there's probably a good $26 million that we could remove from the police budget right now, and we could use that and reallocate that to community services, but we're not. All right, let's move on to a very fair question. Does the City of Winnipeg think that this is a mental health question? Do we need to get into the police and help them do a survey to test, to see where is everybody's mental health within those that provide us public safety? Wouldn't you want to know? Here's the answer.
Well, again, I'll leave kind of what measures are in place within the service to work with members that are affected by mental health issues and other issues where supports are needed. The chief would be best positioned to speak to that, and I know he has. But what I will say is our new chair of the police board and the chief have indicated the need for even greater dialogue with the broader community. That's something Councillor Chambers has indicated, and the police board has indicated an interest in pursuing, and I have been speaking with him and want to continue to support those efforts.
We cannot, again, shuffle the blame. We need the leadership to act. We need to focus in on this problem. If it was your organization and you found out that a bunch of your staff may be suffering, and it may just be impacting not only the quality of their life and their family's life, but their duties, their job, how they represent the City of Winnipeg. I'll tell you something. If it was me right now, I would be doing that survey within seconds. Finally, there was a question about should we be looking inside yet again? More of it about why this happened. So here is the response from the City of Winnipeg.
I think, look, the position of the Winnipeg Police Association has been pretty consistent. They've been strong defenders of the status quo for many years, in my view. They fought very hard some of the changes that we've been trying to make to the police budget over the years, as one example. It should surprise no one that there will be a difference of opinions between the head of a police union and management, or members of the broader community from time to time. That they have a role. I respect that role. They're going to represent vigorously the interests of their members, and that should surprise no one. Obviously, I'm appreciative of a chief who has shown a willingness to listen and to try to collaborate with not only the union but the police board and the broader public.
All you have to do is rewind and play back several of my answers about pointing the finger at somebody else, and you'll have my response to that. Listen, most importantly, we lost a couple of members of our Winnipeg Police Service. And I saw a lot of negative comments about that on social media. It's really a sad state of our society. The fact of the matter is any life lost is a loss. I mourn with you and with the family. I'm very, very sorry. I'm sorry. And I want to just let all members of law enforcement in Winnipeg, Manitoba, across our country, around the globe, there are those that respect what you do, that acknowledge what you do, and that care about you. Because you go to work every day and put your life before ours to protect us. And I realize within any organization, there's going to be some bad apples. And we need to work together to get those bad apples out or reformed. I think we've had enough division. We've had enough negativity. It's time to support each other and help each other. We have enough going on in the world and enough stresses. This is when we need to take a moment and check in on everybody and have a little more patience, because you never know at what moment you might need that patience. Winnipeg is one great city. And it's one great city because we have shown we can come together. So let's do that. Let's do that now.